Confucius, known in Chinese as Kong Qiu and respectfully referred to as Confucius or Master Kong, was born in 551 BCE in the small state of Lu, located in present-day Shandong province. His birth took place during the tumultuous spring and autumn period of Chinese history, a time marked by political fragmentation and constant warfare among rival states. This unstable backdrop profoundly influenced the philosopher's early life and his eventual pursuit of social harmony and moral governance. Confucius' family lineage was modest but noble in origin. He was a descendant of a once prominent aristocratic clan that had lost its status and wealth by the time of his birth. His father, Kong He, was a soldier of advanced age, and his mother, Yin Jingzai, was significantly younger. The family faced financial hardships, which necessitated a humble lifestyle. Confucius' father passed away when he was only 3 years old, leaving his mother to raise him alone. Despite their struggles, his mother played a critical role in shaping his character and instilling in him a respect for learning and moral discipline. From an early age, Confucius exhibited a profound curiosity about the world around him. Living in a society where education was primarily reserved for the elite, he faced significant obstacles in accessing formal learning. Yet his determination to acquire knowledge was unyielding. Confucius was known to observe his surroundings keenly, often questioning the customs and practices of his community. This inquisitive nature laid the foundation for his lifelong pursuit of wisdom and understanding. The political and social conditions of the spring and autumn period were chaotic, with the Zhou dynasty's central authority in decline. Local lords vied for power, and corruption permeated the political system. This era of instability exposed young Confucius to the shortcomings of leadership and governance. Witnessing the suffering of common people under oppressive rulers deeply affected him and shaped his aspirations to reform society through ethical principles and just governance. Confucius' youth was marked by a blend of hardship and self-determination. To support his family, he took on menial jobs, including managing grain stores and overseeing livestock. These experiences not only honed his practical skills, but also provided him with insights into the daily struggles of ordinary people. This connection to the common man would later inform his teachings, which emphasized accessibility and relevance to all members of society, not just the elite. Despite his modest upbringing, Confucius' hunger for knowledge led him to study a wide range of subjects, including history, poetry, music, and ritual practices. He was particularly drawn to the ancient Zhou traditions, which he viewed as embodying a golden age of moral integrity and social harmony. By immersing himself in these texts, he developed a deep respect for the wisdom of the past and began to envision how it could guide the present and future. Confucius' intellectual journey was not undertaken in isolation. He sought out mentors and engaged with other scholars whenever possible. These interactions helped him refine his ideas and exposed him to diverse perspectives. Even at a young age, Confucius displayed a natural ability to synthesize knowledge and articulate his thoughts, earning him recognition as a budding thinker among his peers. While Confucius' early life was fraught with challenges, these experiences forged his resilience and commitment to self-improvement. He believed that character and virtue were cultivated through effort and reflection rather than inherited by birth. This belief became a cornerstone of his philosophy, as he later championed the idea that moral excellence was attainable by anyone willing to strive for it. The challenges of his youth also instilled in Confucius a deep empathy for others. Having experienced hardship firsthand, he developed a profound sense of compassion and a desire to alleviate suffering. This empathy would later manifest in his teachings, which emphasized the importance of benevolence, ruin, and the ethical treatment of others. By the time Confucius reached adulthood, he had laid the groundwork for his life's mission: to restore moral order and promote harmonious relationships in society. His early life, shaped by adversity and a relentless pursuit of knowledge, was not merely a prelude to his later achievements, but an integral part of his journey. These formative years sowed the seeds of a philosophy that would resonate across centuries and cultures, making Confucius one of history's most enduring figures. Education was the cornerstone of Confucius' life and philosophy. Despite being born into a family of modest means, Confucius displayed an unwavering commitment to learning, which became the foundation of his intellectual and moral awakening. At a time when education was largely restricted to the nobility, Confucius broke social barriers by seeking knowledge wherever he could find it, laying the groundwork for his belief in the universal accessibility of education. Confucius' early education was unconventional, as formal schooling was beyond his family's financial reach. Instead, he relied on self-directed learning, drawing inspiration from the classic texts of Chinese culture. The Book of Songs, Shijing, the Book of Documents, Shujing, and the Book of Changes, Yijing, became central to his studies. These works contained moral lessons, historical narratives, and philosophical insights that profoundly influenced his thinking. By immersing himself in these texts, Confucius developed an appreciation for the values of virtue, order, and tradition. One of the key features of Confucius' educational journey was his open-mindedness. Unlike many of his contemporaries who adhered rigidly to the teachings of a single school of thought, Confucius sought to learn from a variety of sources. He was particularly drawn to the wisdom of the Zhou dynasty, which he regarded as a model of virtuous governance. Confucius believed that the moral and political lessons of the Zhou could be revitalized to address the problems of his own era. Confucius' approach to learning extended beyond rote memorization. He emphasized the importance of critical thinking and personal reflection. For Confucius, education was not merely about acquiring knowledge, but about cultivating one's character. He believed that the ultimate purpose of education was to shape individuals into ethical and competent leaders who could contribute to the betterment of society. This perspective would later become a defining characteristic of Confucian philosophy. During his formative years, Confucius also cultivated an interest in music, which he regarded as a vital component of moral education. In ancient China, music was closely associated with ritual and harmony, and Confucius believed that it had the power to elevate the human spirit and foster social cohesion. He studied and practiced various musical forms, seeing in them a reflection of the order and balance he sought to bring to society. Confucius was not content with merely absorbing knowledge. He also sought to share it with others. Even in his youth, he demonstrated a natural talent for teaching, often engaging in discussions with peers and offering his insights. His ability to explain complex ideas in simple and relatable terms earned him respect and admiration, foreshadowing his later role as a master teacher. The socio-political climate of the spring and autumn period further spurred Confucius' intellectual development. The disintegration of centralized authority and the rise of competing states created a world rife with conflict and instability. These conditions highlighted the urgent need for ethical leadership and effective governance, themes that became central to Confucius' thought. He saw education as the key to addressing these challenges, as it could nurture virtuous leaders capable of restoring harmony. Confucius' intellectual awakening was also deeply personal. He experienced moments of doubt and frustration, questioning the efficacy of his efforts and the receptiveness of his society to change. Yet, these struggles only deepened his resolve. Confucius came to believe that the pursuit of knowledge and self-improvement was a lifelong journey, one that required patience, humility, and perseverance. Perhaps most significantly, Confucius developed the conviction that education should be accessible to all, regardless of social status. This revolutionary idea stood in stark contrast to the elitist attitudes of his time. Confucius argued that true learning was not determined by birth or wealth, but by one's dedication and willingness to learn. This belief not only democratized education, but also inspired generations of students to follow his teachings. By the end of his early intellectual journey, Confucius had laid the intellectual foundation for his future work. His dedication to learning, coupled with his vision of education as a transformative force, set him apart as a thinker and teacher. These experiences solidified his belief in the power of knowledge to shape individuals and societies, a conviction that would guide his endeavors for the rest of his life. As Confucius matured, His reflections on society deepened into a coherent vision that sought to address the disarray of his time. The spring and autumn period, marked by political fragmentation and moral decline, had a profound impact on his philosophical outlook. He believed that the key to restoring harmony lay in cultivating virtue, strengthening interpersonal relationships, and adhering to ethical principles. This vision formed the cornerstone of Confucian thought and would later influence the governance and culture of East Asia for centuries. At the heart of Confucius' vision was the concept of run, often translated as benevolence or humaneness. For Confucius, run was the supreme virtue, embodying compassion, empathy, and respect for others. He argued that a society guided by run would naturally foster mutual respect and cooperation. Confucius emphasized that run began at the individual level, as each person's moral integrity contributed to the collective well-being of the community. Complementing run was the principle of li, which referred to ritual propriety and the proper conduct of social relationships. Confucius viewed li as the framework within which run could be expressed. Rituals, in his view, were not mere formalities but vital tools for maintaining order and fostering respect. Whether in familial settings or state ceremonies, li provided a structure for individuals to navigate their roles and responsibilities harmoniously. Another cornerstone of Confucius' vision was the concept of shao, or filial piety. He believed that the family served as the foundational unit of society, and the principles governing familial relationships could be extended to larger social and political structures. Respect for one's parents and elders was, in his eyes, the first step in cultivating a sense of duty and loyalty that would translate into effective governance. Confucius often stated that a ruler who governed as a benevolent parent would naturally inspire loyalty and trust among the people. Confucius was also deeply concerned with the role of leadership in shaping society. He introduced the concept of the junzi, or gentleman, as an ideal for individuals to aspire to. The junzi was not defined by noble birth, but by moral character and the pursuit of self-improvement. A true junzi, according to Confucius, acted with integrity, compassion, and wisdom, serving as a model for others to follow. He believed that if rulers embodied the qualities of a junzi, they would inspire their subjects to act virtuously. One of Confucius' most radical ideas was his rejection of hereditary privilege as a criterion for leadership. In an era where political power was often passed down through familial lines, Confucius argued that merit, not birthright, should determine one's suitability to govern. He envisioned a society where individuals were selected for leadership based on their virtues and abilities rather than their lineage. This meritocratic ideal was revolutionary for its time and laid the foundation for future civil service systems in China and beyond. Confucius' vision extended beyond the individual and family to encompass the state. He believed that the primary role of government was to promote the welfare of its people. A just ruler, guided by virtue and wisdom, would create policies that reflected ethical principles and ensured fairness. Confucius frequently criticized rulers who governed through coercion or manipulation, arguing that moral authority, not force, was the most effective means of maintaining order. Education played a central role in Confucius' blueprint for a harmonious society. He viewed learning as the means by which individuals could cultivate their virtues and fulfill their roles in the social hierarchy. Confucius also believed that education should not be limited to the elite, but should be accessible to anyone willing to learn. By spreading knowledge and fostering critical thinking, he hoped to empower individuals to contribute meaningfully to the betterment of society. Despite the clarity and appeal of his vision, Confucius faced significant challenges in promoting his ideas. The rulers of his time were often preoccupied with power struggles and territorial disputes, leaving little room for philosophical reflection or ethical reform. Many leaders dismissed Confucius' teachings as impractical or idealistic, further complicating his efforts to implement his vision. Yet, Confucius remained steadfast in his belief that a harmonious society was achievable through virtue, education, and ethical governance. His vision was not merely an abstract ideal, but a practical guide for addressing the moral and political crises of his era. By articulating a philosophy grounded in compassion, respect, and justice, Confucius laid the intellectual groundwork for a legacy that would inspire generations to come. As Confucius grew older, he became increasingly determined to translate his vision of a harmonious society into reality. This ambition led him to embark on a journey across the warring states of ancient China, seeking an audience with rulers who might be persuaded to adopt his philosophy. This period of his life, often referred to as his years of wandering, was marked by both hope and hardship as he tirelessly pursued opportunities to influence governance and society. Confucius' travels were driven by a conviction that ethical leadership could restore order to the chaotic political landscape of the spring and autumn period. He believed that rulers bore the moral responsibility to act as stewards of their people, governing with integrity, wisdom, and compassion. With this message, he sought out the courts of regional lords, offering his counsel and advocating for policies rooted in Confucian principles. One of the central tenets of Confucius' proposals was the idea that governance should be based on virtue rather than coercion. He argued that a ruler's moral example would inspire loyalty and harmony among the populace, making punitive laws and harsh penalties unnecessary. This notion of leadership by example stood in stark contrast to the authoritarian practices prevalent at the time, which relied heavily on fear and force to maintain control. Despite the universal applicability of his teachings, Confucius encountered significant resistance during his travels. Many rulers dismissed his ideas as idealistic or unworkable, prioritizing military might and political intrigue over ethical reform. Some viewed his advocacy for moral governance as a threat to their authority, while others simply lacked the vision to appreciate the long-term benefits of his philosophy. These rejections were a source of great frustration for Confucius, but they did not diminish his resolve. Confucius' journeys were not solely focused on political engagement. They also provided him with opportunities to interact with a diverse array of people. From courtiers and scholars to farmers and laborers, he engaged in conversations that deepened his understanding of human nature and the practical challenges of governance. These interactions reinforced his belief in the universality of his teachings and the importance of addressing the needs of all societal strata. During his travels, Confucius often found himself in precarious situations. His outspoken criticism of corrupt officials and his unwavering commitment to ethical principles sometimes placed him at odds with powerful figures. On several occasions, he faced hostility, exile, and even physical danger. Yet, these trials only served to underscore his dedication to his mission. Confucius viewed adversity as a test of character and a reminder of the importance of perseverance in the face of obstacles. Confucius' disciples played a crucial role in his itinerant years. A group of devoted students accompanied him on his journeys, eager to learn from his teachings and assist in spreading his message. These disciples came from varied backgrounds, reflecting Confucius' belief in the accessibility of education. Together, they formed a traveling school of sorts, engaging in intellectual discussions, studying classical texts, and refining the principles of Confucian thought. The years of wandering also provided Confucius with valuable insights into the diversity of Chinese culture and governance. As he moved from state to state, he observed variations in customs, laws, and administrative practices. These observations enriched his understanding of how Confucian principles could be adapted to different contexts while remaining true to their core values. Although Confucius did not achieve widespread political success during his lifetime, his travels were not in vain. The seeds of his ideas were planted in the minds of his disciples and those who heard him speak. Over time, these teachings began to gain traction, laying the foundation for Confucianism's eventual emergence as a dominant philosophical and ethical system in China. Confucius' years as an itinerant philosopher were a testament to his unwavering commitment to his ideals. Despite the challenges and disappointments he faced, he remained resolute in his belief that a better society was possible through the cultivation of virtue and the practice of ethical governance. His perseverance during this period exemplified the qualities of the Junzi he so often extolled, inspiring future generations to pursue truth and justice with courage and determination. The teachings of Confucius represent one of the most enduring intellectual legacies in human history, offering a framework for ethical living, governance, and social harmony. Central to his philosophy was the belief that morality and virtue were not innate, but cultivated through education, reflection, and practice. Confucius' ideas were deeply rooted in the traditions of ancient China, yet they transcended their cultural context to address universal human concerns. At the core of Confucius' teachings was the concept of ren, often translated as benevolence or humaneness. Ren is the principle that governs relationships between individuals, emphasizing empathy, kindness, and a deep respect for others. Confucius believed that ren was the ultimate virtue, the foundation upon which all ethical behavior rested. In his view, a society guided by ren would foster cooperation and mutual respect, creating an environment in which individuals could thrive. Complementing ren was the principle of li, or ritual propriety. While ren expressed the internal disposition of kindness, li governed the external expression of that disposition through proper conduct, rituals, and traditions. Confucius saw li as essential for maintaining social order and harmony, as it provided a framework for individuals to interact respectfully and fulfill their roles within society. For Confucius, adherence to li was not about rigid conformity, but about cultivating a sense of discipline and respect that reinforced ethical behavior. Another pivotal concept in Confucian thought was shao, or filial piety. Shao emphasized the importance of family as the cornerstone of moral development and social stability. Confucius taught that respect for one's parents and elders was the foundation of ethical behavior, as it nurtured a sense of loyalty, gratitude, and responsibility. He believed that these familial virtues could be extended outward to foster loyalty to one's community and rulers, creating a ripple effect of harmony throughout society. Confucius also introduced the ideal of the junzi, or gentleman, as a model for individual behavior. Unlike the aristocratic concept of nobility by birth, the Confucian junzi was defined by moral character and ethical conduct. A junzi was someone who continually strived for self-improvement, acted with integrity, and inspired others through their example. Confucius argued that anyone, regardless of their social background, could aspire to become a junzi through dedication and education. Another significant aspect of Confucius' teachings was his approach to governance. He championed the idea of leadership by moral example, encapsulated in the concept of de, or virtue. Confucius believed that a ruler's character was the most important determinant of their ability to govern effectively. A virtuous leader, he argued, would inspire trust and loyalty among their subjects, rendering coercive measures unnecessary. This emphasis on ethical leadership challenged the prevailing reliance on power and punishment in his time. Education occupied a central place in Confucian philosophy. Confucius saw education as the path to moral development and social improvement, advocating for its universal accessibility. He believed that learning was a lifelong process, one that required humility, reflection, and a willingness to question one's assumptions. Through education, individuals could cultivate their virtues, fulfill their roles in society, and contribute to the greater good. Confucius also stressed the importance of balance and moderation, a principle known as the doctrine of the mean, zhongyou. He believed that extremes in thought or behavior were detrimental to harmony, advocating instead for a balanced approach to life. This principle encouraged individuals to act thoughtfully and avoid impulsiveness, fostering stability both within themselves and in their interactions with others. The teachings of Confucius were conveyed through aphorisms, dialogues, and parables, many of which were recorded by his disciples in the Analects, Luanyu. This text became the primary source of Confucian philosophy, offering insights into his ethical principles, views on governance, and reflections on human nature. The Analects emphasized practical wisdom, encouraging readers to apply Confucian ideals in their daily lives. Confucius' teachings were not merely theoretical constructs, but practical guidelines for living a virtuous and fulfilling life. His philosophy addressed the complexities of human relationships, the responsibilities of leadership, and the challenges of self-improvement. By grounding his ideas in timeless principles and emphasizing their relevance to everyday life, Confucius created a system of thought that continues to inspire and guide people around the world. Confucius' role as a teacher was central to his life and legacy. He regarded education as the most effective means to cultivate virtue, develop moral character, and achieve social harmony. Unlike many thinkers of his time who reserved learning for the elite, Confucius believed that education should be accessible to all, regardless of social status or wealth. His revolutionary approach to teaching and his dedication to his students solidified his reputation as one of history's greatest educators. Confucius viewed teaching as a deeply personal and transformative process. He did not see himself merely as a conveyor of knowledge, but as a mentor guiding his students toward ethical development and intellectual growth. His teaching method was interactive, encouraging dialogue, critical thinking, and self-reflection. Confucius believed that learning was a collaborative journey, where both teacher and student engaged in the pursuit of truth and wisdom. One of the hallmarks of Confucius' teaching philosophy was his belief in lifelong learning. He often emphasized the importance of humility and the willingness to learn from others, regardless of their social position or level of knowledge. Confucius himself embodied this principle, frequently stating that he was as much a student as he was a teacher. This openness to learning inspired his disciples and set a standard for intellectual curiosity and self-improvement. Confucius students came from diverse backgrounds, including farmers, merchants, and government officials. This inclusivity reflected his belief that education should transcend social boundaries. He famously declared, "In teaching, there should be no distinction of classes," challenging the entrenched hierarchies of his time. By providing access to education for all, Confucius sought to create a society where virtue and ability, rather than birthright, determined one's place and contribution. The content of Confucius' teachings was both practical and philosophical. He imparted lessons on ethics, governance, and proper conduct, using examples from history, literature, and everyday life. Rituals and traditions were also integral to his curriculum, as he believed they provided the structure necessary for cultivating discipline and respect. His teachings were not limited to theoretical discussions, but were deeply rooted in the realities of human relationships and societal dynamics. Confucius placed a strong emphasis on moral character in his teaching. He believed that knowledge without virtue was meaningless, and that true education involved cultivating qualities such as honesty, integrity, and compassion. His goal was not merely to produce knowledgeable individuals, but to nurture junzi, ethical and exemplary people who could lead by example and contribute to the betterment of society. The bond between Confucius and his disciples was one of mutual respect and admiration. His students revered him not only for his wisdom, but also for his humility and dedication. Confucius, in turn, valued his students' insights and often learned from their perspectives. This reciprocal relationship created a dynamic learning environment that encouraged intellectual exploration and personal growth. Confucius' teaching legacy is preserved in the Analects, a collection of his sayings and dialogues compiled by his disciples. This text captures the essence of his educational philosophy and provides a glimpse into his interactions with his students. Through these writings, Confucius' ideas on education, morality, and governance have been transmitted across generations, influencing countless individuals and cultures. Despite the challenges he faced, including political rejection and societal skepticism, Confucius remained steadfast in his commitment to teaching. He believed that education was a force for good, capable of transforming individuals and societies. His dedication to this mission was unwavering, even in the face of personal hardships and limited recognition during his lifetime. Confucius' role as a teacher extended beyond his immediate disciples. His educational philosophy laid the foundation for a system of thought that has shaped the values and institutions of East Asia for centuries. By emphasizing the importance of learning, moral character, and social responsibility, Confucius established a legacy that continues to resonate, inspiring educators and learners alike to strive for knowledge, virtue, and harmony. While Confucius is celebrated today as one of history's most influential philosophers, His lifetime was marked by significant challenges and disappointments. His unwavering commitment to his principles often placed him at odds with the political and social realities of his time. Despite his tireless efforts to promote ethical governance and social harmony, Confucius frequently encountered resistance, rejection, and personal hardship. These struggles, however, only served to deepen his resolve and shape the enduring legacy of his philosophy. Confucius lived during the Spring and Autumn period, a time of political fragmentation and moral decline in China. The Zhou dynasty's centralized authority had crumbled, leaving the country divided into competing states ruled by ambitious warlords. This environment was rife with corruption, intrigue, and conflict, presenting a stark contrast to the ideal society envisioned by Confucius. He saw the chaos of his era as a direct result of the failure of rulers to uphold virtue and ethical principles. Throughout his travels, Confucius sought to offer his counsel to regional rulers, hoping to implement his vision of governance based on virtue and moral example. However, his ideas were often dismissed as impractical or idealistic. Many leaders were more interested in consolidating power and expanding their territories than in fostering ethical governance. Confucius' criticism of their methods further alienated him from those in positions of influence. One of Confucius' most significant challenges was the perception that his philosophy was incompatible with the realities of political power. His insistence on moral leadership and the rejection of coercive practices stood in stark contrast to the prevailing norms of the time. For rulers who relied on military strength and punitive measures to maintain control, Confucius' teachings appeared naive or even threatening. This disconnect limited his ability to enact meaningful change during his lifetime. In addition to political resistance, Confucius faced personal hardships that tested his resilience. His travels often brought him into hostile territories where he and his disciples encountered danger and deprivation. On several occasions, they were forced to endure hunger, poverty, and exile. Despite these challenges, Confucius remained steadfast in his mission, viewing adversity as an opportunity to demonstrate the virtues he espoused. Confucius also grappled with disappointment in his personal aspirations. He longed to secure a position of influence where he could put his ideas into practice, but these opportunities eluded him. He served briefly in minor governmental roles, but his efforts to implement ethical reforms were met with resistance or indifference. These setbacks were a source of frustration for Confucius, who lamented the inability of his contemporaries to recognize the value of his teachings. Despite these challenges, Confucius never wavered in his belief in the transformative power of virtue and education. He often reflected on the importance of perseverance in the face of adversity, teaching his disciples that true wisdom and moral character were forged through struggle. Confucius' ability to maintain his convictions amid hardship was a testament to the strength of his principles and his commitment to his mission. Confucius also found solace and purpose in his role as a teacher. While he may have failed to influence the rulers of his time, he succeeded in inspiring a loyal following of disciples who carried his teachings forward. These students preserved and disseminated his ideas, ensuring that his philosophy would endure long after his death. This enduring legacy was perhaps the greatest vindication of Confucius' efforts. In his later years, Confucius reflected on his life with a mix of humility and determination. He acknowledged the difficulties he had faced, but remained confident in the validity of his philosophy. He often spoke of the importance of staying true to one's principles, regardless of external recognition or success. This perspective allowed him to find meaning and fulfillment in his work, even in the face of persistent challenges. The challenges and disappointments experienced by Confucius were integral to the development and refinement of his philosophy. They tested his resilience, deepened his understanding of human nature, and reinforced his commitment to the values he held dear. While his lifetime may not have brought him the recognition or influence he sought, Confucius' struggles laid the foundation for a legacy that would shape the moral and intellectual fabric of Chinese civilization and beyond. The later years of Confucius' life were marked by reflection, teaching, and the consolidation of his philosophical ideas. Although he had faced numerous disappointments in his efforts to influence political leaders, These years were also a time of intellectual fulfillment. Confucius devoted himself to refining his teachings, mentoring his disciples, and contemplating the enduring principles that could guide humanity toward a more harmonious existence. By the time Confucius returned to his native state of Lu, he was in his early 70s. While his hopes of securing a political role had waned, his reputation as a teacher and thinker had grown. Scholars, students, and officials sought his wisdom, and his home became a hub of learning and philosophical discourse. Despite his disillusionment with politics, Confucius remained optimistic about the power of education to transform individuals and, by extension, society. During these years, Confucius focused on compiling and interpreting the classical texts that formed the foundation of Chinese culture. He believed that understanding the past was essential for navigating the present and shaping the future. Confucius' work on the Book of Songs, Shijing, Book of Documents, Shujing, and Book of Rites, Liji, was instrumental in preserving these texts as cornerstones of Chinese intellectual tradition. His commentaries provided insights into their ethical and cultural significance, connecting ancient wisdom to contemporary challenges. Confucius also revisited his ideas on the nature of virtue and the qualities of an exemplary individual, the Junzi. He refined his thoughts on self-cultivation, emphasizing that moral growth required not only education, but also introspection and perseverance. Confucius often encouraged his disciples to engage in daily self-examination, asking themselves whether they had acted with integrity, fulfilled their responsibilities, and treated others with respect. The relationship between humanity and the divine also occupied Confucius' reflections. While he was not a religious prophet, Confucius acknowledged the importance of acknowledging heaven, Tian, as a moral force in the universe. He believed that humans had a responsibility to align their actions with the ethical order established by heaven, though he remained focused on practical morality rather than metaphysical speculation. This balance between spirituality and humanism became a defining feature of Confucian thought. Confucius' interactions with his disciples during his later years were especially meaningful. His students often sought his guidance on personal dilemmas, societal issues, and philosophical questions, leading to rich dialogues that deepened their understanding of his teachings. These conversations were later recorded in the Analects, a text that captures the essence of Confucius' wisdom and the dynamic nature of his mentorship. One notable aspect of Confucius' later years was his ability to find contentment despite his earlier disappointments. He frequently expressed gratitude for the opportunity to teach, learn, and contribute to the intellectual life of his time. Confucius viewed his role as a teacher not as a consolation for his political aspirations, but as a vital mission in its own right. His dedication to education and self-cultivation provided him with a sense of purpose and fulfillment. Confucius also became more introspective, reflecting on his own life and the lessons it offered. He acknowledged his flaws and limitations, often sharing anecdotes about his own struggles and mistakes to illustrate the importance of humility and perseverance. This self-awareness endeared him to his disciples and reinforced the authenticity of his teachings. As Confucius approached the end of his life, he remained deeply committed to his vision of a virtuous and harmonious society. He believed that while individual lives were finite, the principles of virtue, respect, and education were timeless. Confucius' reflections on mortality often highlighted the importance of leaving a positive legacy, not through wealth or power, but through the cultivation of values that could inspire future generations. Confucius passed away in 479 BCE, leaving behind a profound legacy that would grow far beyond his lifetime. His later years, characterized by reflection and teaching, epitomized the principles he had spent his life advocating. Despite the challenges he had faced, Confucius remained steadfast in his belief in the transformative power of virtue and education. These final years solidified his philosophy as a guiding force that would shape the moral and intellectual foundations of Chinese civilization and resonate with humanity for millennia. The legacy of Confucius is one of profound and enduring influence, not only in China but across the world. His teachings, which focus on ethics, governance, and personal conduct have shaped the moral framework of East Asian societies for over 2 millennia. Though Confucius did not live to see the widespread adoption of his ideas, his philosophy gradually became one of the dominant intellectual forces in China, transcending his own era to become an enduring guide for individuals and leaders alike. Following Confucius' death in 479 BCE, his teachings were preserved primarily by his disciples and their followers. The Analects, a collection of his sayings and dialogues, became the foundational text for Confucianism, ensuring that his thoughts on ethics, governance, and virtue would continue to resonate with future generations. In the centuries that followed, Confucianism evolved into a system of thought that permeated all aspects of Chinese society, influencing politics, education, family structure, and social relationships. Confucius' emphasis on education and self-cultivation became a cornerstone of Chinese culture. His belief that all individuals, regardless of social status, could attain moral excellence through study and reflection provided a framework for social mobility and personal development. The Confucian tradition placed great value on learning, encouraging generations of scholars and officials to pursue knowledge and cultivate virtue. In this way, Confucius helped establish education as a central pillar of Chinese society. In terms of governance, Confucius' philosophy became the basis for an ideal form of leadership, one that was grounded in moral integrity rather than political power. His concept of Junzi, the ideal person, was not one of aristocratic birth, but of moral character, discipline, and wisdom. In the centuries after Confucius' death, Chinese emperors and scholars increasingly adopted Confucian ideals of virtuous leadership, and the civil service examination system, which became central to Chinese governance, was based on Confucian texts and principles. The ideal of the virtuous ruler, guided by ethical considerations and moral example, became a central tenet of Chinese political philosophy. Confucius' teachings also found a lasting home in the family structure, particularly through the concept of shao, or filial piety. Confucianism placed great emphasis on the importance of family and the reciprocal relationships between parents and children. The practice of honoring one's elders and respecting familial hierarchies became a defining feature of Chinese culture, with Confucius' teachings promoting respect, gratitude, and responsibility within the family unit. These principles helped foster social stability by reinforcing the importance of loyalty, respect, and duty at the most fundamental level of society. Moreover, Confucius' philosophy had a profound impact on the development of ethics and moral philosophy, not only in China but throughout East Asia. In Korea, Japan, and Vietnam, Confucian ideas were adopted and adapted to local cultures and contexts, shaping the moral, political, and social life of these regions. Confucianism's emphasis on respect for hierarchy, education, and the cultivation of virtue became key components of governance and daily life in these countries, cementing Confucius' role as one of the most influential philosophers in East Asia. The spread of Confucianism also had significant implications for the development of the Chinese imperial state. The civil service exams, based on Confucian classics, provided a means of social mobility, as individuals from all backgrounds could achieve positions of power and influence based on their knowledge and moral character. Over time, Confucianism became the ideological foundation of the state, shaping its bureaucracy, laws, and policies. This system helped establish a stable and centralized state that endured for centuries, from the Han Dynasty through the Qing Dynasty. However, Confucianism's influence was not without its critics. In times of political upheaval or social unrest, some questioned the rigidity of Confucian values and their ability to address the changing needs of society. During the period of modernization in the late 19th and early 20th centuries, Confucianism came under attack from reformers who sought to introduce Western ideas of democracy, science, and individual rights. These critiques led to a re-evaluation of Confucianism in the modern world, as scholars and politicians debated its relevance in the face of rapid change. Despite these challenges, Confucius' legacy has remained resilient. In the 21st century, his teachings continue to influence not only East Asian societies, but also global discussions on ethics, leadership, and social harmony. Confucian ideals, such as the importance of family, respect for authority, and the cultivation of moral virtue resonate with people from diverse cultural and philosophical backgrounds. His teachings offer a timeless framework for personal development and social responsibility, highlighting the enduring relevance of his philosophy. Confucius' contributions to human thought extend beyond the specificities of his teachings. He introduced a way of thinking that centered on the moral and ethical dimensions of human life. His reflections on the nature of virtue, the responsibilities of leadership, and the importance of education have left an indelible mark on human history. As societies continue to face moral and ethical dilemmas in the modern age, the wisdom of Confucius remains a touchstone, offering guidance on how individuals can live virtuous lives and how societies can achieve harmony and order. Thus, Confucius' legacy is not simply one of influence, but of enduring relevance. Through the persistence of his teachings, he remains a beacon of moral clarity and intellectual inspiration. His ideas continue to challenge and inspire individuals, leaders, and scholars alike, making him one of the most significant figures in world philosophy. As long as questions of ethics, governance, and social order continue to be debated, Confucius' teachings will remain a vital part of the conversation, ensuring that his legacy endures for generations to come. The teachings of Confucius, though grounded in the context of ancient China, continue to offer profound insights into the moral and ethical challenges of the modern world. As societies around the globe grapple with issues of leadership, social responsibility, and personal conduct, the relevance of Confucian thought remains striking. In the 21st century, Confucius' philosophy transcends cultural boundaries, providing a framework for addressing both personal and societal dilemmas. The enduring influence of Confucius can be seen not only in East Asia but across the globe, where his principles of virtue, education, and harmony offer timeless solutions to contemporary issues. One of the key aspects of Confucius' philosophy that resonates in the modern world is his emphasis on virtue and moral character. In an age often marked by political polarization, moral ambiguity, and ethical dilemmas, Confucius' insistence on the cultivation of virtue offers a beacon of clarity. His focus on qualities such as integrity, respect, humility, and kindness provides a foundation for ethical decision-making in both personal and professional spheres. In a world where individuals are frequently faced with choices that impact not only their own lives but the lives of others, Confucian values offer a guide for navigating complex moral landscapes. Confucius' ideas on leadership also have enduring relevance in today's globalized world. His concept of the Junzi, the ideal person or ruler, who leads through moral example rather than coercion, remains a powerful model for ethical leadership. In contrast to leaders who prioritize power, wealth, or personal gain, the Confucian ideal emphasizes the importance of wisdom, compassion, and self-discipline. Confucius taught that a leader's moral character has the power to shape the entire society, setting a precedent for ethical governance. This concept has gained renewed attention in modern discussions about political integrity and the qualities of effective leadership. In a time when trust in political institutions is often eroded, Confucius' vision of a virtuous leader offers a model for restoring confidence in governance. Confucius' philosophy also addresses the pressing issue of social responsibility in the modern world. His teachings stress the importance of harmony, both within families and communities, and in the broader society. In a time of growing social divisions, inequality, and conflict, Confucian ideals of respect, responsibility, and social order provide a framework for rebuilding cohesion. Confucius' emphasis on the family as the fundamental unit of society offers insights into how stronger, more supportive communities can be built. His principles of filial piety and mutual respect within family structures are values that continue to resonate in many societies, even as family dynamics evolve. By promoting social harmony, Confucius' teachings offer a potential pathway for addressing issues of inequality, social justice, and community well-being. The Confucian commitment to education and lifelong learning also holds significant promise in the modern world. Confucius believed that education was the key to moral and intellectual development, and he viewed learning as a lifelong endeavor. In an age of rapid technological advancements and ever-changing global challenges, the importance of education has only grown. Confucius' vision of education as a means of cultivating moral character, critical thinking, and social responsibility continues to be relevant in contemporary discussions about the purpose of education. In contrast to models of education that focus primarily on vocational training or economic success, Confucianism encourages the holistic development of individuals who can contribute to society through ethical actions, self-reflection, and intellectual engagement. Confucius also addressed the relationship between the individual and society, a theme that remains vital today. He argued that individuals have a responsibility not only to themselves, but to others and to the community. This emphasis on social responsibility resonates in the modern world, where individualism often takes precedence over collective well-being. In an era marked by concerns about environmental sustainability, public health, and social justice, Confucius' teachings urge individuals to consider the impact of their actions on others and the world around them. His belief in the interconnectedness of people and their roles in society offers a compelling framework for addressing the global challenges we face today. Furthermore, Confucius' reflections on personal growth and self-cultivation provide valuable insights for individuals navigating the complexities of modern life. In a world that often prioritizes material success, Confucius' emphasis on inner virtue and self-improvement offers a counterbalance. His teachings encourage individuals to reflect on their own character, cultivate self-discipline, and strive for continuous personal development. In an age where mental health, well-being, and mindfulness have become increasingly important, Confucius' focus on self-reflection and moral development provides a meaningful approach to living a fulfilling and ethical life. The global spread of Confucianism has also led to its integration with other philosophical and religious traditions. As Eastern and Western philosophies continue to intersect in a globalized world, Confucian principles are often incorporated into diverse cultural contexts. In countries such as South Korea, Japan, and Vietnam, Confucianism remains a cornerstone of social and political life, while its influence can also be felt in Western intellectual circles, particularly in discussions of ethics, leadership, and governance. The adaptability of Confucian thought across cultures underscores its universal appeal and relevance in addressing human concerns. While Confucius' teachings have provided a moral compass for many, it is important to acknowledge that his philosophy is not without its criticisms. Some argue that Confucianism's emphasis on hierarchy and social order can perpetuate inequality or limit individual freedoms. However, proponents of Confucius assert that his teachings, when interpreted in the context of modern challenges, offer a framework for balance between tradition and progress, respect for authority and individual rights. The challenge, as it has always been, lies in adapting Confucian values to contemporary issues without compromising the core principles of morality, education, and social harmony. Ultimately, Confucius' legacy in the modern world is a testament to the enduring power of his ideas. His philosophy remains a vital source of wisdom for individuals and societies seeking to navigate the complexities of modern life. Whether through the pursuit of virtue, the cultivation of ethical leadership, or the promotion of social harmony, Confucius' teachings continue to inspire and guide those who seek a more just, compassionate, and harmonious world. The relevance of Confucius, long after his death, underscores the timeless nature of his thought, and his legacy will undoubtedly continue to shape the moral and intellectual landscapes of the future. This concludes the story of Confucius, a man whose life and teachings have left an indelible mark on human history. Through his enduring legacy, Confucius remains a source of inspiration for all those seeking to live virtuously, lead ethically, and contribute to the betterment of society.